Is Chrome. Mark prefers Firefox. They typically be the best browsers to use. And in terms of percentage-wise, what people are using, most people are actually using Chrome. Chrome is Google's browser. It's easy to use. People like it because you can customise it with a theme, and it's a lot quicker to use. So that's a bit about browsers. Something that people are unaware of, especially when it comes to web development, is cross-browser compatibility. So cross-browser compatibility is making sure that your website will display in all browsers. I don't know if you've ever been to a website and you've used it in Internet Explorer and it's all broken or it's not working properly, but then you use it in Firefox or something else and it's fine. So that's what we mean by cross-browser compatibility, is making sure that your website will show in different mediums. And that's really important because you will have different users using the different types of browsers. One of my friends works in Telstra's web development department, and he mentioned that regarding Internet Explorer, they're looking not to support that anymore, the oldest versions of Internet Explorer, simply because it costs so much to make your website compatible with so many different versions of Internet Explorer that they're trying to set the trend and get people to upgrade their browsers. So that was interesting. The other thing that we've noticed in this industry is a bit of an in-house joke for us, is sort of how Yellow Pages has changed over time. So sort of people used to be really big on advertising in the Yellow Pages book, and now everything's really shifted online. There's a few articles that have come out about it in terms of the shift from the book to online and sort of how that's working. I guess it's important to think when people actually go to the internet, where are they going? And mostly they're going to Google. So it has been hard for the Yellow Pages to shift from books to yellowpages.com.au simply because of that reason. Bit of an in-house joke we have, the 101 uses for Yellow Pages, so we've started putting that on our Facebook. Just a few brainstorms of how we use Yellow Pages at the office. That's my dog, by the way. We got these stats regarding marketing budget and how people spend their marketing budget. In terms of spend, we did see that things change. So Gartner put out a report last year in terms of how people spend their marketing budget and what percentage is put to digital. So as you can see, generally what they do is they look at the turnover of the company and then sort of what percentage is spent on average on digital marketing. And lately that's been about 3%. So what we've seen is a change, a focus more on digital, so more on digital marketing and advertising compared to traditional spends. So as you can see, sort of the overall increase in revenue in the digital marketing spends increased from about 3.1 is looking to be about 10% of the marketing spend annually on digital. So when we consider the online environment, where people actually are going when they go to the internet, generally a large percentage of people are going to Google. Google is very easy to use. It's a main search engine that people use, and it's been that way for a long time. Things are changing in sort of other areas like the US and other countries where they tend to use different search engines, but still Google tends to have the majority in all except China, I think, where they use Beidou. Bing didn't really take off as much as Microsoft hoped. I personally find it difficult to use. Some people prefer it. It just really depends on users. So some of the industry words that is good to be aware of, and most of you probably are, a browser, search engine, which when we talk about search engines, obviously Google, Bing and Yahoo. Search engine optimization gets thrown around a lot. Algorithm, online marketing, keyword string, web magnet, PPC, pay-per-click, AdWords, PageRank. Then you've got the actual algorithms themselves, Penguin, Panda, Hummingbird and Pigeon. Link building, digital strategy and conversion-orientated design. So don't worry if some of them don't mean much to you now, because we will cover them in the seminar. Okay, so online marketing is basically any way that you're marketing your business online. So whether it be search engine optimization or whether it be email marketing or social media, it's obviously marketing your business online. Search engine marketing is really both streams of online marketing. So search engine marketing includes advertising in the ads or appearing in the organic area of Google, which I'll cover. Your organic rankings are the search results that are underneath the ads, so that's what we call sort of the main area of Google. They're the area, that's the area that you can't obviously pay for. You have to be good enough in Google's eyes to have a ranking there. So So search engine optimization relates to the organic rankings. So search engine optimization is that process of making your website, in a nutshell, attractive to Google. Search ranking methods, there are a lot out there, but the main thing is you've got to keep up to date with Google's algorithms. So every time Google puts out an algorithm change, it basically has a set of rules that you need to follow. If you break those rules and you classify it as black hat techniques, which we'll go through, it basically means your website drops in Google. The search engine algorithm, as I was mentioning, is sort of a recipe that Google uses to determine what is allowed and what's not allowed. It changes almost every day. And we'll go through some of the aspects of the search algorithm in regards to Penguin, Panda, Hummingbird and Pigeon. So don't worry if it's not making sense yet, because we will go through it. Okay, so just to clarify what I was talking about earlier, when you Google something, like say for example you're Googling online marketing, you've got your ads, so they're marked by the orange ads. Generally you'll have like top 3 listings that are ads, and then you have the sidebar as well, but it depends on the search and the competition. Typically, depending on the industry, the ads get between 5 and 25% click-through. Obviously that changes all the time and it's hard to get accurate stats from Google, but we actually saw some stats that showed by industry sort of how many people were clicking on the ads. Typically the more competitive industries like cosmetic surgery, finance had better click-throughs with the ads, but still the organic area of Google was the main area that people were clicking on. Obviously because it's like when you read a newspaper, you're more likely to read the articles than you are the ads. So there's an element of credibility, and also the websites that come up here have been judged by Google, so obviously they have good content and often are better structured than some of the ads. So typically it is focused on sort of towards the top of the page or the organic spot where people will actually click. So if you're on page 1 of Google, it's a good thing and you want to be towards the top, but it's still good to have a page 1 ranking even if you're towards the middle, because it depends on the quality of that ranking that you have. So this is kind of what I was saying, towards the top 3 organic results is where most people are clicking, but things have changed recently, and I will go through that in terms of when people search. If you're on the front page of Google and your search ranking looks a little bit different to the other ones, which you can sometimes do with a blog, you can get a little bit more visibility than those that are at the top of the search. So we'll go through that. Okay, so some of the drier stuff about online marketing is sort of the link building side of it, which is basically having good links coming to your website. You want to think of it this way, you want to have more good links coming to your website than links going out. And typically a good link is a website that has a page rank, a good page rank, which we'll go through. It's what Google views the importance of that website as, and it's generally a ranking out of 10. So we'll go through that. What you want to stay away from, and this is what was typically done 5 years ago, is link farms, when you're getting all these dodgy links coming through to your website. A long time ago it used to be like adult sites or sites with a lot of traffic that were linking to your website, and it reduces the credibility of your website in Google's eyes. Your digital strategy should be your overall comprehensive strategy for your company as to what you're doing online. So to include, you know, the search engine optimization, the ads you do, social media, anything that's online, including email marketing. One thing that people forget is you don't just want to bring people to your website, you want to make sure that they actually convert, and that's what conversion-orientated design is about. You can get a website as cheap as $500, or you can build it yourself for free on Weebly or Wix. But what you've got to look at is whether, when people come to that website, are they convinced enough to buy from you? Are they convinced enough to contact you? And that's what we focus on with conversion-orientated design. It's sort of the eye-level movements. There's a lot of research on heat mapping where people actually look when they look on a website, and that's a factor of that. Just pass you over to Mark.
Every day, every time you type in a search, for millions and millions of searches every second. And the way they do that changes all the time. A new website is launched, last time I think I checked, it was about every 1.6 seconds. And Google crawls the web, I think, every 1 to 2 weeks on average, so depending on where it is. So that's why you see different results when you search. The ads work a little bit differently. It's more of a bidding system, but we won't go into that too much right now. what Google uses to determine the best result for what you've typed in is called Google's algorithm. And what we're talking about when we say penguin, panda, hummingbird, those sort of terms, it's really, those are major changes to Google's algorithm and the way it ranks websites. Google is about giving you the best results for your search. As Matt mentioned, they consider over 200 factors, so stuff that's on the page, but also stuff off the page. So external factors, how your website sits in the web, how it's related to other sites, takes all of that stuff into account. And unfortunately, we don't know what all those factors are, otherwise we'd be extremely wealthy. We do our best to guess and put forward the best website we can for Google. The other thing Google is very big on is fighting spam. So as Christina mentioned, people who are using what you'd call black hat techniques or spamming or just basically dodgy ways to try and artificially bump themselves up the page rank in Google. So some of Google's major updates, like Penguin in particular, are specifically designed to cut down on those sort of dodgy strategies like spammy backlinks, link farming, those sort of things. So you're actually getting genuine results when you search.
Now, they mentioned PageRank, and PageRank is an element of how Google judges the value of a website. So PageRank relies basically on the democratic nature of the web. So what Google will do is analyse a particular website and judge it out of 10. And it's based on a lot of different factors. If you had a lot of websites that were, say, you know, a 5 or a 6 out of 10 linking back to you, that's saying that quality websites believe that your website is a good website. So that's what we talk about when we're saying having good links coming through to your website is other sites with a good page rank. So if you want to check out what the page rank is of your website, you can actually download a tool. So this is just a screenshot of our website. You can have a look sort of what the page rank is out of 10. So you can get a little add-on to your browser. So you say you're using Google Chrome or Firefox, you can just Google extension PageRank or PageRank add-on. And generally you'll find a download for it. Once you download it, it'll pop up at the top. And then any website you look at, you'll be able to see what the page rank is. So basically, page rank is important. It's not the be-all and end-all. Just because you have a good page rank, your website still might not be ranking. But it is a good indicator of the strength of the website.
You can only page rank your own website, is that right?
Sorry?
You only page rank your own website? Can you page rank anyone else's website?
You can check anyone else's website. You can't actually rank them. Like, the page rank is determined by Google. So if you get that add-on, they'll tell you what it is. But yeah, any website you look at, if you've got this at the top of your browser, you'll be able to see what they are. So to give you an idea, there's some huge brands out there. Our website is actually 6 out of 10, which doesn't sound amazing because 10, you want to be 10 out of 10. But the only things that are 10 out of 10 is Facebook's a 9. Google itself is an 8 out of 10. So to be somewhere in the middle, like a 6 is actually a really high score. Our website is on par with all these brands. So the last time we checked their page rank, these are the Australian sites were under 6 out of 10. And our website's actually better than these brands in terms of page rank. So you can see sort of how interesting it is in terms of how Google will view your site and sort of things that you can do to make sure it ranks better and has a better page rank. Now here are some of the things that we're talking about in the video which will affect your rankings. So we want to be really careful that what you do with your website doesn't affect how it ranks. So you may have a provider looking after you and then you can do a few things which could cause your website to fall down in Google. So what I want to talk about is white hat versus black hat techniques. What they are is basically Google says these ones are approved, these ones are bad. So generally the ones that are bad, it doesn't mean that they're bad forever, like they'll change, like something that used to be good might suddenly become bad. So it's a lot to keep up with, and that's really what our R&D team does is we've got 50 staff just dedicated to sort of changes in Google. So there might be a certain practice like 5 years ago we could build a one-page website. Nowadays Google will frown on that as black hat techniques because it's not, it doesn't have enough content, it doesn't have extra pages, so it changes all the time. About 6 years ago when I used to write SEO copy, you could use keywords however many times you liked in the copy. Now they say under 1% for a particular keyword, otherwise it's classified as spam. So the rules change as to what's good and what's bad all the time, so it's really hard to keep up with. But basically, the white hat stuff is good things. It's good things regarding your website. So making it have, you know, the right sort of content for your users, making it a genuine site that users can easily navigate, conforms to the guidelines. You're not doing anything to try and trick Google. So a few years ago, people would try and trick Google. They would have, you know, a white page, and then they'd put keywords in white in the background to try and have lots of keywords on their website. And Google's smarter than that, so their algorithms change all the time. So you can't try and trick Google with the wrong thing. So some of the consequences of doing the wrong thing by Google is there's huge penalties. So your website could actually be blacklisted from Google, which happened to a few companies. BMW Germany in 2006, Google wasn't that strict then either. If you did a search for BMW in Germany, you couldn't find the company anywhere in Google. That's because they did something wrong. So Matt Hart's actually commented on that, so there's a full blog in there if you want to read it later as to what they said about why they blacklisted BMW Germany. So it's really interesting. The other one that I found interesting was Penney. So Penney, if you're not aware, is a retailer in New York. And what they did, they thought they were really clever because they had lots of university students working for them. They said to the university students, you know, go get your university website to link to our website. So they thought, oh, that's really good because universities, because they're a .edu, they're an educational domain name, they have a good page rank already. So they got all these universities to link to them, and Google said, that's not relevant. You know, it's not relevant for a university to link to a retailer. So they got blacklisted for that, and they fell off the Google search, and they had to correct it. So it's just another huge example of sort of doing the wrong thing and black hat techniques and how it affects your rankings in Google. So now we're going to move on to the algorithm section. We won't play this video, but there is one there if you'd like to watch with Matt Cutts talking about algorithms. But we're just going to summarise that for you because a lot has changed since he put this video out.
Technical issues. So we'll start with the main ones, and you may have heard of these before, Panda and Penguin. Panda is an update that was first released in 2011, and they've released several iterations of it since then, and they're continuing to release versions of it. The main thing that Panda was designed to fight was low-quality websites and thin content. So it was really, there's potential of getting penalised if your website fell into that category. Penguin was a slightly more recent one. The first one came out in April 2012. Penguin was really designed to fight more aggressive black hat techniques, link farming, low quality backlinks, things like that. Hummingbird was one that you may have heard of, came out at the end of last year. Hummingbird is a little bit different to the other ones in that it wasn't an actual algorithm update, but it was a whole new search engine for Google, basically. It was like taking the engine out of the car and putting a whole new one in. It's designed to make the searches faster, more relevant, and it was done, I think it was Google's 10-year anniversary, which was part of the reason they did it at that time, because things changed so much in that space. Hummingbird was also designed to factor in things like more conversational searches, people searching from mobile, because obviously you can talk to your phones now. Things like longer tail keyword strings, like people aren't so much searching for short phrases, they're actually searching for long tail, it's called, which are 3, 4, 5 keyword strings. People are getting more detailed, trying to get the information they want. So it's sort of adjusting to search users' behaviour over that time too. And there's just a quick summary of the main changes there, which might be hard to see, but. And then just a bit more detail, which you can, if you wanted to look at in your own time and do more reading. So this was Panda 4.0, which was the latest version of Panda to come out last year. Some of the websites that were hit really badly by this included eBay, because I don't know, you probably don't notice as much, but it used to be a case when you search for something, eBay would always come up in search results. And Google decided that wasn't really a good thing and it wasn't giving the most relevant results to people, so that was actually eBay lost rankings as part of this update, which is a major website, and a few others. Panda 4.1, which is another minor update, once again targeted at low quality content. Penguin 3.0 came out end of last year as well, and once again to target those low quality backlinks. So Google are refining things all the time and tweaking and making changes. They don't really tell anyone what they're going to do either. Everyone's sort of got to guess and try and work out and try and please them. So it does make things very difficult. This was a particular case that happened end of September, October last year. As I said, Google doesn't tell you what's going on. Around this time, they actually released 3 algorithm updates all around the same time. And the web community, webmasters, went quite crazy for a while because everyone was trying to work out what was happening. It sort of looked like a Panda update, it looked like a Penguin update. And then eventually they realized that it all happened at once. So usually when a major update is launched like that, people have to scramble around, make changes to their website, make sure it's still ranking. This is all stuff that goes on in the background that you don't see day to day.
I was going to say, that was a really tough one for some of our clients. I mean, only probably 2 of our Perth clients were affected by it, but you just couldn't figure out what had happened. So we had to basically judge it from all the other websites that we look after and kind of figure out what was a common denominator, what was different, and then try and fix it. And the other thing that Google did, which made it difficult, was you couldn't find out if the fixes you put in place had worked until many months, even a year later.
Exactly.
So it's really hard.
And quite funny on that one, Google don't normally release an algorithm update on a holiday, but they did. And Matt Cutts was actually on leave for 2 weeks when that happened, so he wasn't replying to his blog either, so it was quite difficult for everyone. One of the more recent updates that you might have heard about is called Pigeon. It was rolled out in the US, I think, end of last year, and it's just recently rolled out in the Australia, Canada, and the UK. It's really focused around local search content. Valuing results in local portal sites, local reviews, really geo-targeted local content. So Google's taking it one step further now. It's not just trying to provide you relevant results, but relevant results to your exact location. And that's getting as precise as knowing what suburb you're in now. So it's pretty incredible what they're doing. Some predictions for 2015. So Penguin, there's another, I think they're talking about Penguin 4.0 somewhere on the horizon. Pigeon is planning to roll out to other languages other than English, and that's continuing to be launched in other countries around the world. And Panda is just a slow rolling update that will just keep getting released over time. And there's also mobile search, which I'll go into a bit more detail in the mobile section, which are some of the major changes for 2015. Just to give you a bit of an idea, we've identified some of the major ones that have happened, but just to show you how many updates happen over a typical 12-month, 24-month period. Each of those coloured lines is a significant update in Google. So you can see, I don't know if you can see from the back, but some are marked as Panda, some are marked as Penguin, and other. And you can see the way our website's traffic can fluctuate. Some are directly related to the algorithm changes, some not, but yeah, that's what we have to deal with as far as Google changing their mind. One of the other big things for 2015, and Christina mentioned this a little bit earlier, is Google's really trying to consider user intent with search. And that video, while quite funny, explains it quite well, because sometimes it's very hard to tell what a user is trying to find based on a couple of keywords that they're putting in. So one of the things Google is really pushing now is delivering varied content for what you search in. So you probably notice now, when you do a search in Google, you don't just get the top 10 businesses for that phrase. You get a couple of business listings, you might get a Wikipedia link, a couple of blog entries, a YouTube video, sometimes maybe even a knowledge graph will pop up or something like that. And it's actually all about giving you variety in results. The interesting effect of this is that it's not all about the top 3 anymore. And this is quite a recent study that was done at the start of this year, I think, where typically eye-level movement was top 3 results and then it went down from that. But what we're seeing now is some of these results popping up in the page further down, blog posts that have an image or a YouTube video, a business that has a lot of Google reviews, so it'll have stars alongside its name, just some of those other visual elements are making people scroll down the page more. And one of the interesting things was that people on tablets and mobiles are actually going to page 2 and page 3 a lot more than ever before. So just to show you how much user behavior is changing. So, now the knowledge graph I mentioned, this is an example of it here. So if you're searching for a topic that Google deems as, there's a lot of widely accepted knowledge on it, like Hugh Jackman, for example, it'll probably pop up with additional factual graphs, Wikipedia data, things like that. This sort of ties in a bit with conversational search in Google now. If you say something like, how tall is Michael Jordan, it'll say Michael Jordan is 6'6", or whatever. That comes from that knowledge graph because it's an accepted fact. Something else Google is trialing sometime in the future is medical results in search, which hasn't quite rolled out yet. But what they're doing is they've found obviously a lot of people are trying to self-diagnose through Google, which is not a good thing, don't recommend it. But what they're actually introducing is a team of doctors who will have be contributing to a panel and monitoring these results. So you actually get reasonably qualified medical results coming up and flagged as such in Google. They still recommend not to follow it 100%, but it's just interesting that they're trying to give you that quality of content again. And taking that one step further, I don't know if this is it's actually going to come out or not, but Google were talking about delivering facts, what Google deems to be facts on the internet. And there's been quite a bit of debate on this in terms of what should you believe if Google's actually telling you if it's a fact. Is it decided by a panel? Is it based on the amount of information out there? Is it credible sources? Things like that. So the idea is that Google will actually have things that it identifies as facts, like Michael Jordan being 6'6", for example. The knock-on effect of that is, I suppose, and the biggest negative argument is that Google gets it wrong sometimes. We actually had an interesting example of a client where we were doing some content writing about valves, float valves and ball valves. And if you type into Google, what is a ball valve, the result says a ball valve is a float valve. So we thought, okay. And then after talking to the client, who's an expert in this, he said, no, it's not. It's actually this, and this. So whether it'll be perfect or not, yeah, we'll wait to see. But and just to give you a bit of a brief overview of some of the other interesting things that Google are doing at the moment, you heard me mention Google Now, which is an app you can get for your Android and I think for your iPhone as well. It's basically like real-time data being updated on your phone. It actually looks in your email sometimes. If you've got a flight booked, it'll pop up with a reminder saying you've got a flight, and it'll look at traffic and tell you should leave at this time so you don't miss your flight and all this sort of stuff. It's very Big Brother. It's a little bit creepy, but I actually found it to be really good. You can talk to your phone. It's getting the voice search is getting a lot more accurate, a lot more responsive. It'll even pop up with little reminders and say, oh, it's this much time to work based on the traffic. And the way it does the traffic now and the way it gets so accurate is because of the amount of Android devices that are on the market. Everyone has put your hands up if you have a smartphone. Like I'd say most people have a smartphone, or more than one. Each of those devices is effectively a tracking tool for Google. And it uses that in its Google Maps and traffic data to determine if there's a slight change in traffic. It'll even color code sections of road if they're slow moving or something like that. It'll suggest alternative routes. It's like all this is already at our fingertips. And they're talking about introducing these systems into cars not long in the future as well. And that picture down the bottom left there shows an example of like where Google has tracked someone over the last.
That was my driving actually.
That was yours. If you log into your account and if you've got tracking turned on, you can actually see, it actually monitors everywhere you've been. So, yeah, a little bit creepy. But just taking it a little bit step further, I mean, Google's definitely more than just search, and I think that's one of the key things I'm trying to demonstrate here. Another tool that you can actually use in your own business, and we use it a lot for reputation management and social media, is Google Alerts. And you can actually set up customized alerts in Google, and they'll send you they can send you either a daily or a weekly email that shows say Sydney Carter, for example, and you can actually see maybe there's an article in the US where that person was mentioned. You can see some post on a website, things like that. So Google uses its index to provide you alerts on that information.
Yeah, we use that for an MP in Melbourne called Frank Maguire, Eddie Maguire's brother. So anytime his name was mentioned out on Google, then we got an alert so we could manage his reputation online.
So you can see if people are writing positive, negative reviews, things like that. Yeah. And that's something you can just set up yourself via that link, Google Alerts. You just need a Google account. So we'll take a quick break now.
Get some questions.
Yeah, has anyone got some questions on the first section? Yes?
You mentioned all these things like Pigeon and Panda, right? How do you hear about them? I mean, how does the general public hear about them?
They don't.
Technology, we don't know about
You don't really. I mean, it's sort of... Google does do official announcements occasionally, but I mean, it's usually on their webmaster blog or something like that. It's not usually publicised in mainstream media or anything like that. And basically the way we find out about it is constant research and just the greater SEO community.
And our clients, like we'll have a client's rankings that go down and like, oh, what happened?
Yeah.
And then we can figure out that something happened there. So we judge it over thousands of websites.
Yeah.
I just thought it must be something just on Google's page I hadn't read or
Nothing at all. I mean, me personally, I have RSS feeds on dozens of websites all the time, and just if there's anything that looks interesting, I'll always read it and research it and follow it up more. And yeah, sometimes you just don't know. Sometimes it's speculation, but sometimes it is a major update, and then they'll go, yes, this was Penguin 3.0 or whatever.
And we rely on our team as well. We've got an R&D team of 50 staff, so they do the research not only on our clients to see what's happening there, but just general market and industry research. Because it's different for different countries as well, and we've got clients optimised not just in Australia or city specific, but also internationally. So it's different everywhere. It's the other thing that's hard.
Oh, yeah, one person couldn't keep up with it themselves. It's too much out there. But anyone else?